So I just got this octave pedal from AFOT. Seem to be other manufacturers using the exact same size, but also the same layout out of the, and even text for all of the dials. So you get your dry signal of whatever instrument you put through here. The higher you get, the more of that original signal you'll get. But when this is turned on, it does affect the tone. You lose a lot of high end. I can demonstrate that once I get my guitar plugged in. And there's also octave 1. I'll explain this as I do it because I can't remember. They have different behaviors depending on whether you're doing higher octaves, lower octaves, or both, which is what this toggle switch, let me get that in focus. This toggle switch, if you put it up, it's higher octaves. The middle, it's both the higher and a lower octave, and if you put it down, it's just lower octaves, 1 octave and 2 octaves lower. And the top thing is 1 octave and 2 octaves higher. So it's nice that you have that, those options, I guess. Make sure, so it's center negative, and I don't know if the, can't remember if the instructions said how many milliamps, but it's probably around 100, maybe less. But anyway, this is a 200 milliamp power adapter, and it's from a different overdrive pedal that I have, and it's just fine. Oh, it's already on. Let me get my guitar. Plug that in. Turn the amp on. I'm using a bass amp just in case, and also because it should reproduce the sound a little better than a guitar amp would. And I don't know, you might need to be careful depending on what you're working with, just to not blow out your speakers. I'm using a hollow body guitar here. So this is without the guitar pedal engaged at all. And I'm going to turn both of these octave dials down in my dry signal all the way up, so you can hear the difference that this pedal actually does color the sound. I'll just play single notes. Oh, let me turn that down. I accidentally turned it up. So this is theoretically with just a dry sound. Turn it off. See, it seems like it actually turn the volume up on my amp. Seems like it actually boosts it if you put the dry signal all the way up. So I think with this bass amp, you can't tell that you lose some of the brilliance whenever you turn this on, because the bass amp isn't really tuned to those frequencies as much. But yeah, you can hear a difference there. Off. So I'll turn the dry to 12 o'clock here. And then mix it. Again, I'll have the switch here on just the lower octaves, and I think octave 1 is going to be just 1 octave below. Well, let's see. Oh no, that's 2 octaves below. So octave 2 is 1 octave below. I kind of like that because that means the higher the number, the higher the frequency. I haven't played with a lot of octave pedals, but this seems to be similar to the decent ones that I've played through, I find that there's a noticeable lag, but there's going to be a noticeable lag because it doesn't know the note you're going to play. It has to process that note. I'll mix some of that lower octave in. See how that, all 3 octaves now, my original octave and 1 octave below and 2 octaves below. That's pretty cool. I'll take the dry signal off so we only have the lower octaves. Make the lower octave a little higher. Make the higher octave louder than the lower octave. Bring the dry back in partially. I'll make them all equal, and then we'll try the other ones out. Okay, now let's go to, we'll do the top. So this is just the higher octaves, and of course dry. Whoops. I don't know why it sounded like that at first. Yeah, you can actually still hear it. I hear it more in this mode, the top mode as they call it here. What I was saying earlier about losing some high end, which is ironic. Turn the dry all the way up. That's just my volume control. Yeah, it's much less bright. Okay, well anyway, I'll put the dry in the middle. And then here, like I said before, I think the octave 1 and octave 2, those numbers I think also correspond to how where the frequencies are. So the lower the number, the lower the frequency. So I think this will be 1 octave above. And then this I think will be 2 octaves above. So now I'll mix them together, all 3 octaves. And you hear those, you get some weird overtones. So like, especially if you let your fingers touch adjacent strings. You'll get maybe some notes that you don't think you're playing if there's vibrating strings that aren't the ones that you're actually playing. Well, that's pretty interesting. I'll take the dry signal all the way out. And here's just the high. It's a bit much. There's just 1 octave above, but no dry signal. So back to what I was saying much earlier in this video about trying out octave pedals in the past. In addition to having that lag from when you play the note to when it catches on, which I guess is necessarily unavoidable because It can't predict what you're going to play. I find that the pitches that are produced sound artificial, and then maybe that's on purpose, maybe it's not. I don't know. It doesn't sound like the guitar to me. So this is just my dry signal, but I switched it to the middle position, which is both lower octave and higher octave. And so here, this should be the octave below, octave 1 as it's called on this pedal. And this should be 1 octave above. So you'll get 3 octaves again, but 1 below and 1 above. So that's pretty much everything that you can do with this whole pedal, except for one thing. I have not used this yet, so I'm going to test it out. Like I said, it can be, when it's green, that's what they call normal mode. All the dials and the switch works. I can turn that off. If I press it twice quickly, now I'm in this red mode, which is programmable mode. And so let's see. Oh, it's not doing anything. So what I understand about the programmable mode is that you can hold the button down and have it save. So I haven't saved anything, and maybe that's why it's not doing anything right now. So I don't know if I have to hold it in the normal mode to save it or hold it in this mode to save it. I'm going to go back to the green mode, and hold the button and see if it does some sort of flashing or something. I don't think the instructions fully explain this. Yeah, you see it flash there? So now I think if I go into red, that will be, the way I have the dials set right now will be the way it is no matter what I do with the dials. Yeah. So here, I'm going to change the dials, but I don't think it's going to do anything. Yeah. Twice, go back into normal mode. But I turned everything down, so now my dials work again. So that should be everything.
Hello, this is a quick little review for the AFOT or AFOT bass EQ pedal. So far I've been really happy with it. What I was looking for was something that would give me kind of an on-demand slap sound whenever I wanted it. And because my main sound is kind of mellow, that's just what I prefer to work from. And this works really nicely for it. It's almost like adding an extra channel to your amplifier. Excuse me. But well, I'll just go through and give you some sounds here, and hopefully you'll be able to hear my phone. I don't know if it'll record the bass frequencies very well. It sometimes doesn't. So hopefully you'll be able to hear the differences between the sounds. But I'm running through my little Fender Rumble 25 here, and overall the sound, I think, is, like I said, pretty mellow. But this really brings in an extra dimension where you can cut a lot of the fuzziness out of it and define a lot of the extra frequencies. So anyhow, I'll just give you my basic bass sound. And for slap, it'll be... So, pretty generic, really. But when you bring in the pedal, it changes things very dramatically. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. But most notably, it'll change it for slap. So it gives it more of a richness and more of a nicer timbre. messy. I'm trying. My piece is falling off my leg here, but hopefully you can hear the difference there. So. Versus. So I just like the sound of the pedal cutting out a lot of the, bringing out some of the mids and popping up some of the highs. I think it sounds a lot better. So anyhow, the way I have this set, it's worth taking a little bit of time, or investing a little bit of time to figure out how this actually works, because some of the differences can be really dramatic depending on where you are. It doesn't take much movement of the sliders to change the sound noticeably. So anyhow, I have the, I don't know if you'll be able to see here. Come on over. I think we're in focus there. So I have the bass set about just above 0, brought up a little bit. The next is sort of right around 0. The mid-range is a little bit sucked out, and the high mid is pumped up just a little bit, and the treble is brought up a bit more too. So that's a sort of just a kind of a curved sound, but hopefully you'll be able to see this. Again, I don't know if it'll focus in. There we go. So if I just bring the treble up a little bit, you get a very noticeable difference. Which is kind of nice, actually. Again, sort of good for that. A little bit too aggressive for me. But you can also bring up the upper mid, and that kind of gets you more of a P bass, that snarly P bass sound. And a little bit, again, small differences really change it. So again, it's something that you kind of have to experiment with to get the full effect of. But I think it's a great little pedal. My only real complaint here is the switch, and I don't know if you may have heard it. You can hear that snap when it comes on. It's not the best switch I've ever felt. It's actually one of the worst. You can feel it kind of bind up internally when you press down on it. And even other pedals in this sort of price range have better switches than this, so that's kind of a disappointment. Regardless, it's overall, I think it's a really, really solid little pedal, especially for the money. I think I've only ever seen one that was more affordable than this, and that was actually, I think it was only $1 cheaper. So, oh, my phone's interfering with the app there. I'm just going to draw it back a little bit. But anyway, this is a pretty good little pedal for the money, and I'm really pleased with it, and I would certainly recommend it. So I hope this has been helpful, and I wish you the very best.
This Ocean Verb pedal is tiny, but it's surprisingly well built. It's mostly, I mean, it's basically all metal. This little switch up here that switches between the 3 different styles of reverb. The top is at room, but then it has spring and then shimmer, which that brings out more of the digital aspects of this with some really unique artifacts that kind of like invert and lift up the reverb. Anyway, it's surprisingly well built. I never expect much for under $60 for a mini pedal, but I do love mini pedals, and I like experimenting with them, and this one's quite unique. It definitely punches above its price point, both in construction and in function. So let's turn it on. I'm running it through a little Vox amp right now. Well, here's the sound without it. Okay, now let's turn it on, and it is about halfway up on the mix. Going over that is going to give you more of the wet signal and less of your dry signal, so it's more delayed sounding. You have your tone control right here, which I'm going to leave it about middle, and this is how much reverb you're actually adding. So let's add about the middle. very cool. Let's try the spring. Switch that there. Very cool, very springy, very bright. A little bit of a digital artifact there, but not bad and actually kind of artful. So I don't have a problem with it. And then this last one's very digital. It's like they're like pushing the digital aspects of it. This shimmer option. See how there's almost like a Q filter following it, and like inverting the reverb and bringing it back up. And if you really crank it, you can get some really wild sounds. So anyway, crank down all of them. Sounds cool. Back to spring. And then back to room. So, very cool. For the price, definitely 5 stars.